Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Wednesday, March 20th. This is Gina Palma. Over the last 2 weeks, we've seen precipitation mainly affect the southern two-thirds of the Great Basin, and it's these areas, especially over southern and eastern Nevada and over much of Utah, that have seen well above normal precipitation for the time of year. Further north, any precipitation we've seen up into Idaho, Wyoming, and northwest Nevada has been well below normal. If we look at the new snowfall over the last 72 hours, on the left we have another storm moving into the Great Basin, bringing some high elevation snowfall to the Sierra currently, but this will spread across Nevada and Utah over the next 24 to 36 hours. The snow depth is in the image on the right, obviously confined to the higher elevations of the Sierra, Nevada, and Utah, and up into Idaho and Wyoming. And if we look at how our snowpack's doing for the time of year, you can see it's fairly healthy across all of the west. In the Great Basin, all areas are above normal, but the areas that are furthest above normal are into the Sierra, Nevada, and into the higher terrain of Utah, where we are seeing snowpack above 130 to 150% of normal. The satellite loop from this morning shows this next trough of low pressure swinging into California and western Nevada this morning. And again, this is bringing some precipitation mainly to Nevada and the Sierra early this morning, but this will continue pushing eastward and spread precipitation across much of the southern two-thirds of the Great Basin today, along with some cooler temperatures and breezy winds. So if we look at the weather pattern for later today, again, that system moves into California this morning and will push eastward into southwest Utah later this afternoon and tonight. This will spread clouds and showers across much of the Sierra, Nevada, parts of the Arizona Strip, and western Utah through today. Looking at the ventilation index, we will see generally breezy winds over the southern half of the Great Basin, keeping dispersion a little bit higher, but much lighter winds further north with poor dispersion. Looking at the transport winds, the image on the left for today, as that system moves east, we will see some breezy winds, especially in the higher terrain, with gusts above 30 miles per hour in Utah, parts of the Arizona Strip, and southern and eastern Nevada, as well as some gusty winds up in the Snake River Plain. Looking at our mixing heights, we will see relatively low mixing heights further north and higher mixing heights in the higher terrain where those winds are breezy further south. As we move into Thursday, this area of low pressure tracks eastward over the southern areas of the Great Basin. So this first storm again will be bringing most of the precipitation to the southern half to two-thirds of the region, with much lighter precipitation north into Idaho and Wyoming. We will also see some snowfall in the higher terrain, generally above 6,000 or 7,000 feet. So we could see several new inches or over a foot of snow in some of the higher terrain of the High Sierra and also over into the higher terrain of Utah as we move through the next 2 days. Dispersion will remain quite poor across the region except where winds are a little breezier. If we look at the transport winds, you can see generally gusty winds only around 25 miles per hour or so in some of the higher terrain of Nevada and Utah, but generally moderate winds region-wide, with relatively low mixing heights in the east and a little bit higher as you move into the west. By Friday, this first system moves over the eastern half of the Great Basin, still with some precipitation across Utah, parts of southeast Idaho and Wyoming. And we do have another trough of low pressure that will be approaching the west coast on Friday, and this will bring more precipitation as we go towards the weekend. Dispersion will remain fairly high on Friday in between systems as the winds start to pick up in advance of this next system, especially across Nevada into western Utah. Again, transport winds, you can see the westerly winds starting to pick up in advance of that system over southern and western areas, and mixing heights will also be a little bit higher. Looking at the forecast clearing index for Utah, as we move into later today and Thursday, you can see fairly high clearing indices over the southern half of Utah today, and also over southern areas and in the higher terrain of the northern Wasatch as we move into Thursday. Forecast amounts of precipitation are indicated here. Again, that new snowfall is generally above 6,000 or 7,000 feet, so we could pick up another foot or more in parts of central Utah and southern Utah in the higher elevations, as well as new precipitation and snowfall further west. Again, mainly snowfall above 6,000 or 7,000 feet with rain in the lower elevations. As we move into this weekend, we see that next system moving into the Pacific Northwest. So this will target precipitation over the northern two-thirds of the region, generally with drier conditions over the Arizona Strip and southern Nevada. So as we move through the weekend, we will see better chances of higher precipitation over parts of Idaho and Wyoming that have largely been removed from some of the heavy precipitation events. Looking at Saturday, we are looking at good dispersion region-wide with the exception of the north and east. On Sunday, that system quickly moves off to the east, so we will see some precipitation in the north, but nothing overly heavy, but certainly more than what we've seen recently. Drier conditions move into western and southern areas, along with good dispersion over the eastern two-thirds of the region, and poor dispersion as the winds decrease over western Nevada. On Monday, another system pushes into the west coast, so we will see a very brief break on Sunday in the west, and we will see clouds and showers move back in by early next week. And winds will also be increasing, so we will see better dispersion over western areas on Monday and poor dispersion further east in between systems. On Tuesday, that system continues to track eastward. We will see again clouds and some lighter showers over the northern half of the region. Looking at the overall forecast amount of precipitation from Saturday through early Monday, again you can see that next system finally brings some precipitation to areas of central Idaho into Wyoming, and also continued rainfall chances for Nevada and Utah. Looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, taking us into the very early part of April, we're looking at below normal temperatures and above normal precipitation. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back on Friday for the latest updates.